In 2022, when the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, the world exploded with reaction. Some were cheering, others were devastated. And right in the middle of it all, the Catholic Church stood firm, once again saying, "Abortion is wrong, life is sacred, always." At the same time, countries like Canada and the Netherlands were expanding euthanasia laws, even allowing it for mental illness in teenagers. And again, the Church said, "No, life must be protected from beginning to end." But here's the tension. What if a woman was raped? What if someone is in unbearable pain and begging to die? Why does the Church still say no? Is it just old-fashioned dogma? Is the Church ignoring human suffering? Therefore, let's talk about it. Honestly, compassionately, not just from headlines, but from the heart. Let me tell you about a real case that shook the world. In 2019, a 17-year-old Dutch girl named Noah Pothoven made global headlines. She had suffered unimaginable trauma, sexual assault, depression, eating disorders. And after years of struggling, she chose to die. She refused food and water. Her parents supported her decision. Some reports claimed she was euthanized. Others clarified it was passive suicide. Either way, the world was stunned. How could someone so young lose hope like that? Where was the help? The fight for her life? The healing? But there were also voices saying she was suffering too much. She had the right to die. So which is it? Mercy or tragedy? Therefore, this case forces us to ask deeper questions. Not just about laws or politics, but about the value of human life. The Catholic Church has always said something radical, even offensive to modern ears. Every human life has value, no exceptions. Not based on age, not based on health, not based on circumstances. This is called the consistent ethic of life. It means the Church opposes abortion, euthanasia, the death penalty, human trafficking, poverty, and racism, because all of these violate the dignity of human life. But people often think the Church only cares about unborn babies, or is obsessed with suffering. Therefore, we need to understand that the Church's message is not about control, it's about protection. Protection of the most vulnerable, protection of those who can't speak for themselves. And yes, that includes women in crisis and people in pain. Let's go deeper. The Church believes abortion is not just a political issue, it's a moral issue. Why? Because science tells us that from the moment of conception, a unique human life begins. It's not a potential life. It's a human life, with its own DNA, heartbeat, future. But what about rape, incest, a mother's health? These are tragic, heartbreaking situations, and the Church does not ignore that pain. It urges pastoral care, emotional support, medical attention, and practical help. There are Catholic programs all over the world helping women through crisis pregnancies, not judging them, but walking with them. Therefore, the Church says, we must love both the mother and the child, not one or the other, because both lives matter. Euthanasia is often presented as dying with dignity, and no one wants to see a loved one suffer. But the Church asks, is helping someone die really the most compassionate thing we can do? Because suffering, while never desired, can also be a place of deep meaning, transformation, and love. There are countless stories of people who, when surrounded by care, compassion, and presence, chose to live. What they needed wasn't death, it was dignity, companionship, and hope. Therefore, the Church encourages palliative care, pain relief, and emotional support, not as a way to prolong dying, but to affirm life, even in its most fragile moments. We live in a world that often says, your life is only valuable if it's convenient, healthy, or wanted. But the Catholic Church dares to say something different. Your life is valuable because you exist, because you were made in the image of God. No matter how small, no matter how broken, no matter how messy your story is. Therefore, whether you're a single mom, a sick patient, a scared teenager, or someone struggling to find purpose. The church says, you are loved. You are not alone. Your life matters. If we want to build a better world, we have to start by protecting life from womb to tomb. Not with anger, but with compassion. Not with judgment, but with justice. Not with politics, but with love. If this video gave you something to think about, don't forget to like, comment, and share. And let's keep the conversation going. What does dignity mean to you? Drop it in the comments below. Subscribe for more truth with love, right here on Catholic Corner.